A group of kids ends up alone on a deserted island. This is the start of Lord of the Flies by William Golding. It's not just any story. It's about what happens when there are no adults around to say what's right or wrong. The kids have to figure everything out by themselves, from finding food to deciding who's in charge. And things get really interesting when they start to disagree. This novel is special because it shows us what might happen in a world without rules. Do we turn into heroes, or do we become villains? Lord of the Flies shows us the answer to these big questions through an exciting story. If you haven't had the chance to go through all the 224 pages, you're in luck. In this video, I'm going to summarize the entire novel in just a few minutes, so stay tuned to get the full novel. But before that, what summary would you like next? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. Alright, so our story starts with two boys, Ralph and a boy known to us only by his unfortunate nickname, Piggy. Their school uniforms are a bit worse for wear, but here they are, survivors of a plane crash. They were supposed to be safe, flying away from a war, but now they're here, with no grown-ups in sight. Ralph, trying to figure out what to do next, spots a conch shell lying in the sand.
Hello there.
He picks it up and blows into it, sending a loud call across the island. It's like a signal telling any other boys out there that it's time to come together. And it works. One by one, other boys start showing up, curious about the sound. Piggy, who's been picked on because of his weight and glasses, tells Ralph about the nickname the other kids gave him. It's not nice, but Piggy's smart and has good ideas. He tells Ralph that they need to get organized, make a plan in case they're stuck here for a while. So they have a sort of votes, and Ralph gets picked to be the leader. Not everyone's happy about this. Jack and his choir boys wanted to be in charge, but Ralph has an idea. He lets Jack be the leader of a hunting group. That seems to work for now. Ralph has this hope, this feeling that they'll be rescued soon. He also knows they need to survive until then. He tells everyone they should have fun, but also stick together and keep a lookout for any ships or planes. They all agree on one rule. If you're holding the conch shell, you're the one who gets to talk. It's their way of making sure everyone gets a turn. Ralph, Jack, and a nice boy named Simon end up being the ones everyone looks up to. They start figuring out what's on the island. They find fruit trees for food and even spot a bunch of wild pigs. Jack gets super excited about hunting them, but they also need fire for smoke signals and cooking. Piggy's glasses are the perfect tool to start one. This makes Piggy even more of an outsider, even though he and Ralph are becoming friends. Simon, always looking out for the younger kids, starts building shelters for them. So what's next for these boys? Will they get along and survive together? Or will things start to fall apart? At first, everything seemed like it was going to work out. Ralph had a plan, and for a little while, all the boys pitched in. But it didn't take long for things to change. With no adults to keep them in line, most of the boys just wanted to have fun. They played all day and slept without worrying about anything else. Then, at night, whispers about a scary monster hiding in the trees started to spread. These rumors made everyone nervous. Ralph tried to calm the fears by saying there was no such thing as monsters, but Jack had other ideas. He saw a chance to become more popular. He told the boys that his hunters, the ones he led on hunting trips, would track down and deal with this monster if it existed. This made him look really brave and made more boys want to follow him instead of Ralph. One day, Jack decided to lead a big hunting trip. He was so focused on hunting that he took boys who were supposed to keep the signal fire going. Because of this, the fire went out. And wouldn't you know it, that's when a boat passed by the island. But with no smoke signal to see, the boat just kept going. This was their chance to be rescued, and they missed it. When Jack and his hunters came back, they were all excited because they had caught a pig. But Ralph was upset. He told Jack they had missed their chance to get off the island because the fire had gone out. Jack was mad that Ralph was ruining his moment of triumph, but he knew he couldn't just fight Ralph about it. Instead, he took his anger out on Piggy, hitting him and breaking his glasses. Even though they had food now, Ralph warned them about eating pork that wasn't cooked properly, but the boys were too hungry to listen. They ate like they'd never seen food before. After all this, Ralph felt overwhelmed. He told Piggy he didn't want to be the leader anymore, but Piggy was scared. He knew things would only get worse if Jack was in charge. So he talked Ralph into staying as the leader. Piggy knew that without Ralph, things could turn really bad really fast. One evening, something really scary happened. A battle in the sky right above the island led to a fighter pilot having to eject from his plane. Sadly, he didn't make it, and his body landed in the trees of the island. It was a frightening sight, especially for one boy who stumbled upon it. He was sure he had seen the monster everyone was scared of. After hearing about this, Ralph, Jack, and another boy named Roger decided they had to see for themselves. They found the pilot's body too and were so scared that they ran back, convinced the monster was real. This made everyone even more worried than before. Ralph knew they had to talk about this. He called a big meeting to figure out what to do. Jack tried to use this moment to become the leader instead of Ralph, but when it came time to vote, the boys wouldn't turn their backs on Ralph. Jack got really mad and decided if he couldn't be the leader there, he'd start his own group. Roger, seeing an opportunity, sneaked off to join him. Slowly, more and more boys left Ralph to follow Jack, tempted by the promise of more roasted pig to eat. Jack's group started to act wild. They painted their faces and forgot about being nice or following rules. They were turning into something else, something scary. Meanwhile, Ralph, Piggy, and a boy named Simon tried to keep things normal, trying to hold on to the way things were supposed to be. Simon, who was a bit different from the others and often had these moments where he just needed to be alone, would go into the woods. One time, he saw something that would stick with him. Jack and his new tribe did something really strange. They put a pig's head on a stick and left it there, hoping it would keep the monster away. The head was covered in flies, and in a scary moment, Simon thought the pig's head was talking to him, telling him that there was no monster like they thought. The real trouble was the boys themselves, and it warned Simon, saying the boys would turn on him next. Trying to do the right thing, Simon found the truth. The so-called monster was just the pilot. He rushed back to tell the others, hoping it would stop the fear. But it went all wrong. The boys were worked up, dancing and getting carried away. When Simon appeared, they thought he was the monster. In a terrible mix-up, everyone, even Ralph and Piggy, joined in, and Simon was killed. As things on the island started getting more and more out of control, Jack figured out something really important. He realized that even though Ralph had the conch shell, which they had been using to decide who got to speak and make decisions, the real power was with Piggy. Well, not Piggy exactly, but his glasses. Those glasses were the only way they could start a fire, which was super important for cooking and making smoke signals. Jack was pretty popular by now and had most of the boys on his side, so he decided to make a bold move. He led his followers to where Ralph and his few loyal friends were staying, planning to take Piggy's glasses by force. Ralph wasn't going to let this happen without a fight. He went to confront Jack at his stronghold, a place called Castle Rock, taking along Piggy and the twin brothers, Sam and Eric. Ralph had held the conch shell high, demanding that Jack give back the stolen glasses. Things quickly turned ugly. Jack's followers captured Sam and Eric, and a big fight broke out between Ralph and Jack. In the middle of all this chaos, Piggy, holding on to the conch shell, tried to calm everyone down. He just wanted things to go back to the way they were, with some sense of order. But then, Roger, one of Jack's meanest followers, did something terrible. He pushed a huge rock off a ledge, aiming for Piggy. The rock hit him, ending his life and shattering the conch shell into pieces. Ralph was in shock. He ran away, leaving the twins behind. Jack wasn't about to let Ralph escape so easily, though. He got the twins to join his side by scaring them, and then sent his hunters after Ralph. The twins secretly warned Ralph that Jack planned to kill him next. To catch Ralph, Jack decided to set the forest on fire, thinking it would flush him out. And it worked. Ralph, running for his life, ended up on the beach. But just when things seemed the bleakest, he stumbled and fell at the feet of a British naval officer who had seen the smoke from the fire and came to check it out. Seeing the officer was a shock to everyone. After telling him their story, all the boys, including Ralph and Jack, started to cry. They were crying out of relief, exhaustion, and maybe because they were finally facing what they had become on the island. The officer couldn't believe what he was seeing. Then, looking back at his own warship, he started to think over everything that had happened. And that was the wild and intense story of Lord of the Flies by William Golding. From their hopeful beginnings to the dramatic end, the boys on the island showed us a side of human nature we often forget. If you enjoyed this video and want more summaries about some of the most interesting stories out there, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Your support means we can keep bringing you content that gets you thinking, and maybe even seeing the world a bit differently. Thanks for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. See you next time.